Hey guys, so today I want to talk about just, I guess, a little bit of the state of Bitcoin or the history of this current state of Bitcoin. Everyone right now is, are we in a bull market or are we in a bear market? Well, how do you define a bear market? If prices are down, it's a bear, whether it's 1 week or 2 years. Well, we already been in a bear market for a couple of months, or alt season hasn't started, or we're having two alt seasons. Everyone has their own opinion. And a lot of these opinions are based off of facts and data. Definitely not all of them. And what I want to give you guys today is a little bit of thought of where Bitcoin is, right? Everything follows Bitcoin. It will probably, at least in my opinion, matter less with most altcoins following Bitcoin in the near future, like next year plus. But for now, it still pretty much follows Bitcoin, at least in terms of if Bitcoin's doing well, everything else has the okay or the go ahead to do well. If they do or not, different story based off of macroeconomics. And today I just want to go over what's some of the realistic worst case or best case scenarios with Bitcoin. The concept of a crashing Bitcoin would be great for alt season in certain circumstances. We've seen it before where a huge crash of 57% turned into the all-time highs for a lot of crypto, including Bitcoin. This was last cycle. So having a dropping Bitcoin gives us opportunities, and I want to explain and talk about some of that today. So hopefully get over some of the fear that people have of everything just going all the way effing down. So if you guys have been here several times before, you get anything interesting or get some information from this that you enjoy or can use, please do press the like button and or subscribe. It really does help me out. But let's move forward and talk about Bitcoin. So if you guys haven't really gotten my opinion, yes, I think we're still in a bull market and we are until proven otherwise. And I've talked a few videos in the past, and I'm sure I will more in the future on this one. But just because prices are going down doesn't mean we're not in a bull market. It just means we're in a more negative sentiment. We certainly have not hit an altcoin season. We've had a few narrative pumps. We're seeing a little bit of a narrative pump right now with privacy coins and a couple other just random, we'll call it dino coins that have been here for two cycles, like Filecoin went over 100% like a day and a half, which was cool to see. But there's a lot more signs that we have a lot more good ahead than negative. And I mean this very genuinely. If you think that we're entering a bear market or that we're in a bear market, can you please put down the comments below why, other than price? And maybe that's the whole thing. But we cannot judge bull markets or bull or bear market potential solely based off of price of crypto. Maybe the price of everything in crypto, the entire market cap, and how much volume's coming in. But if we're just looking at our crypto out of thousands of them saying everything's red, that doesn't mean we're in a bear market. We have so much good shit coming that it's really hard to think and realistically imagine we're going to go down. But I'm open to solid arguments and debates on this one. So why do I think we're in a bull market? We can explain, like logically with real events, why Bitcoin and other crypto have dropped so far, right? I mean, anytime that there's been a World War III threat, right? There's been liquidation crashes just on 1010. That was a huge one. We've had several mini liquidations. We've had threats of Binance suing Wintermute over that crash, or vice versa, Wintermute suing them, whatever. They both said that they're not doing it. But FTX also said they didn't have problems 10 days before they went bankrupt and disappeared. Anytime that Trump gets bored on the toilet and puts out a tweet, our prices go up and down, talking about tariffs. Oh, there it goes. We can trace reasons every time from outside sources of why crypto changes. That alone is a huge factor in that we're not in a bear market. We're just having a lot of bearish news, much closer to the manipulation side of things, of keeping things suppressed. And we see a lot of whales that keep buying crypto. That does not happen in bear markets. Because if you think everything's going down, people with a lot more money, a lot smarter, and a lot more networking than we do is putting tens of millions of dollars into the system. They're not going to buy on the high end. It's just when are we going to go up? And that's the part that's emotionally fucking all of us, right? So, what are some of these large macro news things I'm talking about? One, everyone's been talking about M2 money supply expansion, right? How much liquidity and free money or money available to spend is globally, not just in the US, though the United States does have one of the larger impacts because every country essentially uses the dollar. But there is money available to be spent everywhere for the most part. And M2 global supply has a nice little pattern being a couple of months ahead of Bitcoin. And we've seen this a couple of times. The money's there. That's the whole point. We're ending quantitative tightening, and we'd expect quantitative easing coming in probably around, was it March or May, when we're going to have a new Fed chair come in, which Trump is going to handpick a crypto enthusiast or just a risk on asset enthusiast. And we're going to see major rate cuts down under 2%, 1.5% by this time next year. That's huge. Turning on the money printers for quantitative easing, printing out more money. Most other countries are right now. We're waiting for the US. And we were told it's going to be happening. These things are stacking up, guys. Yes, longer than we thought. Okay. If you're not over leveraged and you're not expecting everything done in a certain time frame, there's no worries. It's just like, come on, are we there yet? We're starting to see the rotation of funds from larger assets, gold, right? I mean, that thing skyrocketed for being, what was it, like a $33 trillion asset? It went up by, don't hold me to these numbers. It's been a little while since I looked at them, but I knew it went up several trillion in like 2 or 3 weeks. You know how much money that takes? So there's been retraces, people are selling. And the more people sell gold, are they going to put in crypto? Some of them. More likely, more going to put in the stocks. And then when stocks go up and people start selling that, it's going to move more into the risk on assets like crypto, specifically when it lines up with lower interest rates, because that supports higher risk investments. That's what we're in, guys. I also mentioned at the beginning there was a large crash that began everything. That's kind of the whole motivation behind the concept of this video, is letting you guys know that if everything drops, specifically Bitcoin, it's not the end of everything. Yes, eventually, the end of everything will start with Bitcoin and everything dropping. But let me show you the precedence of something that happened just last cycle. Okay. If you're not aware of this, this could happen again. I'm not saying it will, but a lot of people are expecting extended cycles or double tops. And this is exactly what we had last cycle. Right. So this is the Bitcoin chart last year or last cycle in 2021 to 22. And we hit an all-time high at that time was 64, let's call it 65,000. All right. We had a 57% drop in 2 months. Massive. All right. If you guys were here, you probably remember this. Maybe this is what got you in the first place, or maybe this is where you sold everything. Who knows? But then we had this massive drop. And then in just a few months' time, we went back, rallied up to more new all-time highs. This was the last big pump. We had a lot of all-time highs in altcoins. And the reason why this got people going and why I think it's a good or could be a positive thing if Bitcoin drops a little bit further, not that I'm wishing it, just saying, is that when everything drops like this, we had people then that now thought that Bitcoin was one hell of a deal between 28 and $35,000. They bought. People are buying now at $100,000, right? So as they buy, more people buy, realize, oh crap, Bitcoin's back. Here we go. Mini sell-off where everyone was talking about if this is the end now. And then we went back to all-time highs. And then we had it, right? Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. 30% drops in Bitcoin is not abnormal in bull runs. So my number I've been holding to is 94,000. So if we look here on the more recent time of things, yeah, we had a big drop. We were up here at 126 and we're coming all the way down. The lowest I think we're realistically going to get, in my opinion, based off of just where there was a lot of shorts, longs, and percentages of the drop, is around 94K. I'm not saying we're going to get there, but what this is that we see people buying at 100,000. If it drops too much further, the next big line is around 94, where we're going to have people start buying. Michael Saylor, I think his average is around 78,000. You really think he's going to be losing billions of dollars, right? He's loading up. He started a new strategy to buy more Bitcoin. So if we get down too far, we know good old Savior Saylor is going to come and start buying, and that could alone help boost everything. Yes, he'll probably buy over the counter where it's not going to make a big deal in price, but he could manipulate that if he wanted to, and he could buy it over the fucking market. I wouldn't put it past him. It would be a smart move, or to buy some on the market right after he buys some over the counter to pump his own bags. Then everyone sees Bitcoin's back and they buy. It's market manipulation, and the people with money and power are going to do it when it suits them best, which is when the rest of us have gotten out so they can buy at the lower prices and then we jump back in. Mhm. So we have some good things coming in precedence of this bad news being good when all the macroeconomics are lined up for a bull run, right? It's not like we're in a recession. It's not like we have high rates. We're just having them drop down. I'm actually pretty positive. Feel free, anyone that wants to fact check me on this one, but our rates are lower now than they were during the last bull run, right? So we have all these catalysts coming in that's lining up too good for it really to not be good for crypto, right? In the most bearish realistic situation, in my view, is that just the top 1 to 300 coins do well, right? And this is where I've always say microcaps are more risky. They're smaller, they're more volatile, less people can get to them, less people know about them. But I still think that the worst case scenario, we'll have an alt season for the top couple hundred. We have a lot of regulation coming in. We've got countries that have roadmaps for CBDCs with regulation, digital euro, starting to come out and should be announced this year for at least some of the legislation and regulation. We're having the Clarity Act here in the US that's going to help with stablecoin regulation. That I'm sure most of you don't give a damn about stablecoins. I really don't, but I care about what happens to them because stablecoins are important for corporations to come in and use the liquidity for that. All right. We got more ETFs coming in. It's like now a 20-day wait period versus what it could get up to 220 days, I think, before with pushing back the way the process worked. Now they have a fast track system as long as crypto that hits certain parameters, which are mostly are you large enough of a market cap? Do you have a futures listing? And they can get shortcutted, which is why we've been having Solana staking ETFs, HBAR ETF. We're expecting a lot more. This is only good news. Again, at least for the top crypto, and they're going to hit the same narratives. We have some ISO coins, XRP and HBAR gets an ETF. You think others aren't going to jump in right away? Cardano's probably in the mix. We know that's sitting there and waiting. And I know that the sentiment is piss poor with crypto. If you guys have been in this for realistically 3 months or more, you've seen how quick that shifts, right? People literally go to bed one day pissed off thinking that crypto is done, wake up the next morning and then go buy green candles because everything's changed all of a sudden. And it's gone in reverse. And both are going to happen again. Wait for sentiment to change for to know when you should buy and when you should hold, when you should sell. And people will tell you things. Most people have to be wrong in the market. So most people think that this is going to happen. It's probably not. Follow smart money. So to just kind of finish this up is I'm still expecting a bull run. I'm still expecting alt season. I've got my financial goals. I've got my plan. I have my exit strategy. And I even have my backup plan in case I'm wrong or it takes longer than I expect for alt season to happen, which is late January. That's where I say is too long for me. Or if I start saying there's enough metrics that change my mind and we're in a bear market, I already have my contingency plan. I have a video on that if you're interested and curious. Because I think you should have a plan A, you should have a plan B. I'm not losing money in crypto. I am going to make money and I'm very confident I'm going to make the goal worth of money. And I'm going to continue doing it in a different way in the bear market. I encourage you guys all to make a plan when you're a logical mindset, follow through with the plan when you're an emotional mindset, because the logical one was probably right. And if you have any questions or concerns, hop into groups, hop into a Discord, ask questions down in the comments with YouTubers that you like. Probably avoid asking too many of the people in the comments. They're usually more negative than positive, but you're going to find what you want to find regardless. So with that being said, thank you guys for being here. I'll talk to you all again soon. Peace.